You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. And
hello.
Yeah, hello. And we got a special guest today. And joining us is Danneh.
Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, so Danneh, we had an opportunity to be on a show together recently, and it's good to have you on, finally, officially on New World to Go, dude.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Appreciate it. So how about we'll start off the show first and foremost. Why don't you throw in the plugs, Danneh? Where tell us a little bit about yourself and where they can find you.
So my name's Danneh. Pretty much been playing MMOs for a long time, and I'm super excited for New World. I've been running a kind of a podcast type show on my Twitch channel called New World Wednesdays, and you can find me at youtube.com/Danneh.
Thankfully, we had you on at the right time because you're a PvP guy. We got Outpost Rush to talk about. We got a lot of information about Outpost Rush, so we're going to go through all of that. And then, of course, we recorded the video prior to the second housing video, but we did call the winner. But we're going to go over that briefly real quick. So obviously, the housing stuff, I'll get your take on this, Danneh, because I think me and Bordy have probably already given our official stance on these HGTV videos that they're putting out. But so the couple chose the house. It was Everfall. And one of the things that stood out in my mind, and Danneh, again, another great time to have you on because there's tons of purple pirate furniture all over the room. We've never seen that style of furniture before. But they did say in the video that they bought it from the auction house or the trading post. So hopefully that's available to craft. What did you think about the furniture in the game?
Yeah, we might have to dye it green. We're a Marauders fan over here. I'm an absolute mega fan of it. I think I sat down with some of my guys and we looked through it and just thought we haven't really had a chance to see really any real furniture or any sort of real customization, new stuff up until these videos. And I kind of dig the way they're bringing out the videos, a little bit role play, that's fine, but it's very different to kind of what I see lots of other companies doing to introduce, new parts of the game. So I really love the videos that they've done, a little bit of fun, and yeah, the furniture's looking super cool, to be honest. Yeah, really cool.
So it's funny. I thought the same thing whenever I watched that video. That my mind immediately went over to Danneh and the pirate crew over there. I was like, dude, that's gonna be him, man. That's what he's putting in his house right there. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because, player housing has been one of the more popular topics in New World. I think a lot of people in the MMO space enjoy, like, as long as the rest of the game is good, they enjoy a good player housing and everything, everything like that. It's going to be interesting to see how in-depth the furniture system goes, but it's cool to see that they've, aside from just like all the armor sets that they've been adding, that they have been also working in the back end with some of the furniture and appearance type items too. So obviously the Everfall thing won, which we called Bordy. But as a whole, Danneh, what do you have any problem with the type of advertisement that they're putting out with the fashion show and now the HGTV videos? Or how are you enjoying these pieces of content?
It's actually cool. I genuinely think it's cool. I actually. I was live on Twitch when they got the fashion serve video out, and my girlfriend loves RuPaul's Drag Race, and that's all I could think about when that was playing. And I think it was so much fun and very different. However, I was kind of frustrated that some of like the animations they left in there were very stiff, and it looked a little bit, I don't know, stiff, and it didn't feel complete. And I felt like for something like that, where you're very close to the characters and the people and things, it would have been nice if they had kind of, I don't know, maybe spotted that just to avoid us picking up on problems. But otherwise, I love the idea of it. I think it's it's very new. I haven't really seen that before. Obviously, we all had a moan about the armor. We did like it. We didn't like it. Blah blah blah. But as an overall, I think there's more positives to negatives with the fashion show. I think it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, I like the idea that they threw in. The characters threw in the video that I think the Covenant was currently in control of the territory, but they plan on overthrowing them soon. I just like the idea of like, here's this couple like buying a house, doing the house hunters thing, buying a house together, and then like part of their decision to buy a house was, affected by like who owned the territory. So it's just funny to think that this couple is eventually going to be shedding blood in the middle of their own town. But yeah, I like the flavor that they added in for sure. And I think, this is kind of a sneaky, creative way to like show off some of the features like the furniture and everything like that we haven't got to see yet. So I enjoyed the content of them. Obviously, I do secretly watch HGTV with my wife. I think I mentioned that a little bit. So it's obviously, I can understand the theme that they're going for, but hopefully we'll be getting some cool action-based trailers soon as well, nearing launch.
Yeah, I'm holding out for that still, man. It's going to happen. They have to. They have to put out some dope looking thing before launch, man, to build up the hype. These are cool to build up the beta, but for launch, we got to have some like a crazy cool trailer, man. I hope they deliver there.
So
I was
sorry, go ahead.
Say they really overhauled kind of the housing system, haven't they, since from what it was to where it is now. And I think kind of what they've done with, settling down videos has been a real nice way for people to go out and research a bit more. It's kind of catch people's attention. And now they can go out and read, especially on newerfans.com. You've got all the information there about the tier 1, 2, or 5. And I think that's really great. I think it's super cool that as that, for me anyway, led to me going to do a bit more research about the housing and seeing, for example, you can now have 10 lights instead of 4 lights if you go to a tier 4 house. And I think that was cool. I think it's a cool way of doing things. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and again, I think if they give us reasons to want to go do the content and rewards such as like unique furniture items or, I love the trophy system. That's one of the things that like I think interests me most about the housing in the game is you can put up things in your house that can affect your game play outside of there, like buffs towards certain types of enemies. And it'll be cool to kind of, I don't know, like the ritual will create for players. Like if you're getting ready to do like a raid that's involved or that has like corrupted enemies in there, like you're going to go in your house and set up your trophies, like, exactly the way you'd want them for that particular raid before you leave to raid. And that's going to be part of like the optimization or the min-maxing in the game. I think that's pretty cool, man. A lot of the changes that they made the housing system. Yeah, the housing system is good for sure. They've got a lot to build on there, and it's already going to be good on release. And then there's a lot to improve upon and build upon. And I think it's just going to get better from release and into the future for sure. It's a good system. One of the things I want to ask Danny, I like putting people on the spot, especially Danny here. Danny, dude, okay, so a lot of people ask, like, we've already got the player housing, and obviously Aeternum kind of lends itself to like farming and stuff like that, dude. What are your thoughts on like, the expansion to housing in the future being some sort of like a settlement or a farm type of setting where you can go out there and kind of do like set up your own farm plot and gathering and all that stuff? Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking a lot. We'd love to see something along the lines of like a company house, like company farms, faction farms. Yeah. I don't know, just anything like that where it brings people together. I think that'd be really cool. I think at the moment the settlements don't have too much to do as a group, so you kind of go there. You do your quest, you hand them in, and off you go again. So things like farming, like expansions to your houses, gardens, whatever, where you can maybe pick stuff from the open world and put it in your garden. It'll be really cool. I mean, again, maybe not needed, but those kind of things retain people's attention. And, when they're not out grinding the open world, they've just got something fun to do. And, we were massive Valheim fans, and, we were farming for days on that game. So it'd be really cool to see some mechanic like that come into New World. Yeah, absolutely. I like what you added the company thing. It would be cool to eventually have some sort of company housing, and that kind of fits in with the plantation or the farm type of setting. One of dude, okay, so I don't know if I watch a lot of Twitch, and Rich Campbell is playing Final Fantasy 14 right now with Asmund and everybody, and it was just cool. Like his player housing or whatever is like basically this. I don't know. It's a crack house, basically, of just a bunch of people, like half naked people running around and like dancing. And dude, I know it's like not necessary for an MMO, especially of any nature, to have that sort of social setting. But dude, it just adds so much flavor to like you're saying, like that ability of the game to pull people together and to have experiences that are just, you can't have in normal life. I think it's awesome. And hopefully they can pull off something like company housing that provides those sort of environments for people to have. All right, so the next topic we have is Outpost Rush. Now, IGN put out a feature covering Outpost Rush, and then soon after, New World put out an official video detailing all of the features and everything inside. So we'll go over the official video first, and then we'll talk a little bit about the IGN feature, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. So basically, Outpost Rush, and we all knew this from the patch notes that they've been updating the alpha with, but it is a 20v20 PvPvE game mode. And now, one of the things that I thought was interesting throughout the video is it is a battleground, so I don't think it's tied to factions or anything. There's only 2 teams. Zone control so basically you would score points by maintaining your one of the 3 outposts or killing people. So those are 2 ways to score. And then, of course, as you're kind of trucking through the game, there are lots of different ways to help your team. So the first one is you're going to be able to go in and gather to help out, build up your fortresses and gather Azoth to gain buffs within the game to continue to progress towards the victory. One of the things, guys, that I want to talk about first is the 20v20 thing. Now we have sieges that are 50v50, and what are your thoughts on the next PvP feature that they kind of introduced into the game was still pretty large scale 20v20 battles?
Yeah, go ahead, Danneh.
And initially, I mean, I'm long story short, yeah, I'm excited, but I think like initially I was kind of excited more so because I thought we could jump in with a group of 20 and kind of use that maybe as like a guild versus guild, company versus company scenario, battleground. And then I heard that you either queue as a solo or queue as a 5. A little bit disappointed, but not. It's still going to be a fantastic place. And I think the one thing that it's going to do is it's going to, it should appeal to those people that wanted to just constantly PvP. There's a space for you guys now. If that's all you want to do is just PvP, we've got Outpost Rush where you can do that all day as far as I'm aware. I think, you just, from what we've seen in these videos, you just queue up and off you go. So I think it's a great addition to kind of, the overall game. So yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think more PvP is better, man. That's where I stand. I love PvP, and this 20v20 stuff is great. But you're right, Red. Whenever they have the sieges out there that's 50v50, and then they drop 20v20, it's still a rather large fight, man. I mean, that's 40 people in the battleground. I love this style of PvP mode, the PvPvE. I really like that. I'm a big fan of that type of stuff. It's a lot of fun to me to get in there and have more options or more things, more objectives that you're trying to accomplish versus just like a deathmatch style game. I like that. But I do still hope that we get at some point some sort of 4v4 small scale battleground or something like that. I don't know what that would affect. I don't know if that would really take away from this 20v20 option that we have here. Once you add too many PvP options, then one of them can start to get stagnant. We've seen that with ESO with their sewers. There's nobody that runs the sewers anymore because everybody's doing the other PvP options. So you got to be careful there, but I do enjoy smaller scale stuff, 4v4, 5v5 stuff. So maybe at some point we'll get something like that. I don't know. But one of the things that concerns me about Outpost Rush, and maybe we'll talk about this in a minute, I don't know. And if I'm getting ahead, we can backtrack. But the level cut. You have to be level 60 to participate in Outpost Rush. So you really don't have a lot of options for a ton of PvP outside of open world PvP until you hit level 60.
Yeah, and that's a great point. They did introduce dueling. which allows you to do, and this is kind of unique to New World, it allows you to group duel up to 5 people, but there's no, obviously, like you said, organization to that, and
or incentives or rewards or anything of that nature.
And it's one of the things that I think is interesting to your point, because they have kind of titrated the open world PvP as well to control the forts, and also, you know, obviously they continue to tweak the open world PvP system with the quests and the amount of experience that you gain with those. They're no longer reward experience at all. It's basically just, you know, if you kill players, then you would get the experience from that particular player. But I agree. I think in the future, I think they're looking, or have at least stated that they're looking into, which that's like famous dev talk for, you know, maybe, maybe not. They're looking into like smaller, more arena-based PvP, but then it does open up that can of worms. Like you said, most people filter, especially PvP players, filter to the most accessible version of PvP in the game, like arenas, or, you know, in MMO, it says, or excuse me, ESO is the battlegrounds. Like you said, the 4v4v4, it's like you can queue up, it's very accessible, and a lot of people don't do the Imperial City or that much anymore. I think there's still quite a bit of interest in Cyrodiil, but again, Cyrodiil is kind of separated from the rest of the game as well. You don't really have a lot of you know, it's either you're a Cyrodiil person or not, I think, other than if you're trying to go in there and get sky shards or something. But Danny, real quick here. So this is, I thought was pretty cool, honestly. Within you know, the game mode, it's zone control. So basically, you just control the outpost. You get a tick from however much time that you control it, and then kills are also a thing. What do you think about this? You know, this type of PvP. I know that you know, the siege mode, there are points that you have to control to break into and take over the fort, but this is sort of I think more centered around you know, potentially losing and gaining these forts, or these I guess they're outposts, over a certain amount of time throughout the game. What do you think about this, you know, the changing of the zones and the scoring system that they have in place for Outpost Rush?
Yeah, I think it's good, because it's going to allow for like a lot of diversity. So, you know, you could be running around as a solo player and still make an impact in this, but you could also be running around in a full group of 20 if you wanted to. And the whole sort of map is going to change to what you do. And I love the fact that you got some small sieges in there. I love that there's a bit of PvE in there, and I love that. You know, they've not just gone full PvP. The whole game is about, you know, synergizing PvE and PvP together. So it's cool that they brought that into this PvP mode. I guess the only thing that kind of concerns me is if this gets really popular, it's going to take people away from the open world. And one thing that I actually really loved playing New World was on our server before, there was so much open world PvP, and you get these kind of, you know, 2v5s, 7v3s, all these XVX scenarios. And that's one thing that I really don't want them to take people away from, because that is, for me, such a massive part of the game, and that will really affect the way the world works and, you know, the way your server lives, basically. So I love this mode. I just hope it doesn't take too much away from the open world, kind of like, you know, what you're saying there with, if they bring out a couple of other PvP scenarios, maybe one of them will kind of, you know, lose the player base or things like that. So, but yeah, in general, I think the game mode is wicked, and should lead to some really, really fun battles, to be honest.
Yeah, and the tying into the PvE and aspect is really good. We know that there's a big player base within the MMO community that are strictly focused on PvE features, and it's kind of cool to see, or at least an effort to kind of involve them in these mini game type of things that involve PvP as well. So one of the ways, or these are the ways that it seems that they've kind of done that. They've introduced gathering within the Outpost Rush. So basically, you would gather Azoth infused items, and you would try to, at that point, this is interesting to me too. Sacrifice these Azoth infused things to a corrupted portal, which is like, I don't understand the lore or mechanics behind that, but that seems to be the case, and that would grant you some sort of buff that you would get. Also, you can use those things that you gather within the world to upgrade your fort, such as like building siege weapons, and then of course, crafting items such as like mines or things that can help you, turn the tide of battle or use it in battle with other people. There's also some sort of tower that you can craft that will allow you to create a respawn point within a fortress base, or versus having to run all the way back to the fort each time, or the outpost, excuse me. So, a lot of different interesting ways for people. I hope those stand up as far as effectiveness compared to just running around and playing team deathmatch. But we'll see, right? It's just, I'm excited to get in there and play because, it is an in-game thing. And I wonder if that's even going to be able to be tested during the beta, because we'll only have 10 days to get there.
Yeah, I think that's a concern for sure, man. Is that how much testing has happened for Outpost Rush, even within the alpha, for people hitting level 60? I would imagine quite a bit has happened with it. That would be my guess. But it's going to be an interesting mode, man. I love the gathering aspect inside of it, because it's going to give players that aren't necessarily PvPers a reason to go in there and do something in Outpost Rush. It'll give them kind of an objective to do within the game mode. But one of the things that I wish they would have done, and I don't know that they're going to, or that they care, or that they can, or whatever, but I still really, really, really wish they would have tied Outpost Rush into the overall gameplay loop in some form or fashion, with the undermining of territory or something like that, to give people an additional reason to go do Outpost Rush, versus just like, you go run Outpost Rush, you get a special piece of armor or a special piece of gear, or you're doing it just for the sake of doing it. Like, man, I wish they would have thrown that into the actual gameplay loop. And maybe there's still an opportunity there at some point down the road for that to happen. But dude, no theme park game does that, man. They are separated rides that do not tie into the overall loop at all. Had they made Outpost Rush a somehow connected with the undermining of territory, or the something to do with the overall loop, I think it would have been so much better, man. And it would have just added flavor to the game like no other theme park game that we see out there. But overall, I still think that the game mode is going to be incredibly fun. I think it's going to be enjoyable, and it gives us PvP players something to look forward to whenever we hit level 60.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. So one of the things I think is interesting, and this kind of ties into I feel like a MOBA feel of this game mode, and that is the ability to kind of summon bosses and get bosses to down, or defeating the Baroness is the one I think in this particular map that they have. So Baroness Hejna, and then you would kill her to get a buff and freeze enemy scoring. I like these mechanics here, like having to sacrifice certain things to a pedestal to summon a bear, a massive bear, or some sort of corrupted brute to do your bidding. What do you guys think about the involvement of I feel like it's a general MOBA mechanic within the Outpost Rush, and we'll start with Danneh here.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. The one thing that I tend to go off track a lot. Sorry about that. the one thing that I love here is I'm hoping that they're kind of using this as a bit of a testing place to bring to the open world. I would really love to see this functionality in the open world, of the faction versus faction, where, we see some open world bosses and things that people just fight over. But I'll try and get back on track. But yeah, I think having this within the game adds such a different dynamic to what we've been used to before. Having to kill a, hopefully quite difficult boss while fighting enemy players, it's going to be such a unique dynamic. I'm sure it's been done before, but personally in New World, I haven't really done something like this. So this would be, I do like it, and being able to freeze enemy scores is kind of a bit of I'm getting ahead. What are you going to do about it? And I like mechanics like this. So yeah, I think it's going to be good, really good.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Go ahead, Red. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, one of the interesting things I thought that kind of creates some sort of conflict is basically it's just the last hit on the boss. So you can be over there farming for the entire, duration of the boss, and then all of a sudden someone comes over and one taps it and kills it. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously that's going to be pretty infuriating if that happens during a match, but. Bordy, what do you think about the MOBA? I know you're a League of Legends guy over here. So what do you think about the MOBA tie-in?
Well, I love that mechanic, man, and I like the last hit mechanic too, because it's almost like whenever you're playing like League of Legends and you have your jungler holding smite, and that's kind of the mechanic you use to finish off the boss. And if your jungler, it doesn't use smite at the correct time, or another jungler can come in there and use smite and take that away from them and take that buff away and turn the entire tide of the battle one way or another. I love that, man, and I really like that this is going to incorporate a lot of strategy into your overall gameplay experience. Again, you're not just going to go in there and play a death match. Although killing opponents will get you score, things like these mechanics, like killing Baroness Hejna to freeze the enemy's score and to give you a buff and all those things, those are going to play a very pivotal role in the overall gameplay experience in Outpost Rush. And if you're not over there killing her at the right time or doing the right things, it doesn't matter. You can be out there winning the fight, and then they can come over here and kill Baroness Hejna and turn the tide completely. And I love that. I love that there's kind of a catch-up mechanic in there so that their team could just be blowing you out. You can go kill Baroness, freeze their score, and then go make a couple plays, and you're right back in it. I really, really enjoy that. I wonder how it's going to tie in. So you can only group, and Danneh made this point earlier, like you can only group with 5 people whenever you go into Outpost Rush. You can't group with 20. So it's going to be kind of hard to coordinate these efforts within Outpost Rush via like text chat or potentially, I guess, voice chat in Outpost Rush with people that you don't really know because you're not grouping up with them. So it's going to be hard to have these coordinated efforts, but at least with a group of 5, you can probably go make a play on Baroness Hejna when you see like, okay, now's the time. Let's go make that play real quick and help our team. And those things are super cool, man. I am excited for Outpost Rush. I'm glad they added some of these MOBA style experiences in there because I love MOBAs. I love League, and I love the strategy that's involved in those types of games. And this reminds me a lot of that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun once some strategies are formed and people really begin to kind of figure out exactly how to play this mode.
For sure, and it's important to note, and I think this is an interesting topic across the game as well. Outpost Rush will have its own type of rewards. You'll get unique items and sets that you can only get within Outpost Rush, and it'll be interesting to see with these particular drops and item sets and everything like that. How closely are they tied to that activity? Are these sets only going to be viable in Outpost Rush? And I think that's an interesting topic just for the game design as a whole is, and they haven't really completely disposed or like shown how these gear sets, will be obtained and how they'll be affecting the activities you gain them in versus like just the general gameplay. But it's kind of interesting to think that, if it is the only optimal way to play is to get a full set of gear from each particular activity and use that set of gear only while doing that activity. So Danneh, what do you think about that sort of conflict, all gear viable in every activity versus, only having, unique gear sets that are only good in like one activity in the game?
I feel that they need to, kind of what I was talking about earlier, if at the end of the round you could potentially win something that you take back to your settlement or back to the open world, that could have a real cool dynamic there as well. Bordy was talking about, how if it was able to affect the open world in some way, shape or form, maybe they could start off by just bringing us rewards. If your team wins, you get something there that you can take back. And whether that's just a cosmetic to show off to say, look, I'm the best Outpost Rush, that's kind of cool. But they could take it even further and maybe grant some materials or something to aid in crafting or some tools or something. So I think it's great that they have their unique items that you can only get from Outpost Rush, but I would love to see those things have an impact on the rest of the game. I think that'd be a real great way to incentivize people hitting Outpost Rush as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly, man. If you're winning or are rewarded with items that are only going to be viable in Outpost Rush whenever you equip them, that's going to really gimp that game mode, because then the people that don't want to go play Outpost Rush aren't going to go play Outpost Rush. If there's rewards in there that everyone can get that they're going to use outside of Outpost Rush, then they're going to be more inclined to go play that mode, and then it's just going to be a more successful game mode altogether for sure. And we reference ESO a lot on this show, but I got to reference reference it here again because they do. I think their gear system is very, very good for an MMO. I know they have a lot of balancing issues and things like that with their sets and the way they do those things, but the way you have to go grind a certain activity to get a certain monster set or a certain set that or a certain piece or whatever, and that plays in well with the rest of the game. And I think that if they do something like that, it will definitely help tie into the overall gameplay experience. So hopefully it's not just a game specific reward and it's an overall reward, man. That I hope that's how they approach that.
For sure. So here's the secondary thing. I guess they actually, IGN, they worked with the New World team to put out a feature. They didn't give a lot of new information aside from what New World released in the official one. But I thought it was interesting because the guy, and IGN sometimes does this with their features. The guy that did the video really, as much as he experienced the activity, really didn't have any opinion on the activity. It was interesting. I don't know, Danneh, you said you talked about this before on your stream, but what did you guys think of the IGN feature and the presentation of it?
Yeah, so we watched New World's kind of trailer for Outpost Rush first, and I was just mega hyped, super excited. And then we watched IGN's version, and it just kind of, I don't know, burst my bubble massively because whether it was their setup, I don't know, bad internet, bad computer, it looked like he was playing on a potato. It just wasn't the experience that I saw him give us wasn't what I saw in the trailer. It was very different. Where I don't want to talk down about it too much. I know it's not even out yet, and there's still things they can work on. But for me, IGN, with someone with such a massive audience, showing things where I think one of the summons was stuck in the door, and his ball was just running on the spot, and the bear was buggy. Things like that, that kind of really frustrated me after having so much interest and so much passion for the PvP game modes they're bringing out. It really frustrated me seeing them bring it out. And the last thing was when he was shooting the arrow, the animation kind of happened a second later, and that really frustrated me because they've been doing so well bringing out the content. I think IGN should have done a little bit better from their side, or at least address that situation a bit more prominently. But it was really nice to see it, and you could see if you get rid of those problems, which are fixable, they are fixable. The game mode actually looked pretty cool, like good combat, good PvP, like very energetic, and lots of things happening often. So it is what it is. Yeah.
But
sorry, a bit of a rant there.
No. Bordy, what was your take on that?
Oh, sorry. No, you're good. So I agree, man. And I think you speak on a good point, and that was kind of my thoughts as well, is just the overall performance of this game mode, right? And not just this game mode, but the overall performance of the entire game. We are, as of this recording, it is the 11th of July. So this beta goes live on the 20th, man. We are so close, and I hope that they get those issues fixed before then. And maybe it was some sort of issues on IGN's end by playing on a potato or something like that or whatever. But I hope that whenever people get into New World during the beta, that we don't have a lot of those issues. Some of those issues are going to happen. It's beta, and they don't have all the bugs fleshed out yet. But yes, I thought the overall game mode from IGN's perspective, it looked fun aside from those issues. But those were kind of some big deals, and they didn't provide any insight at all, man. Let's be real here. IGN, he had no opinion on it at all, and it was like, well, okay, whatever. So I didn't really get a lot of value out of the video, to be honest, aside from kind of the bugs and things you've seen. And you're right, Danneh, they are fixable. And once they fix those things, man, I think that the game mode is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really, really fun experience. And I hope, the thoughts running through my mind watching that was, dude, they have to have their performance really good during beta. And if the performance is good during beta for New World, I think that's going to just increase the hype for launch tenfold. And if people have a great time in beta, we all know how the internet works, man. We all know how influencers work. I mean, you're going to have Asmongold probably playing the beta. You're going to have other big influencers playing the beta. And if they have a good time and are speaking highly about the game, that can absolutely blow the game wide open on launch for these people that are kind of waiting around for it. So that's what I'm hoping for and crossing my fingers for, is that they get those little small issues like those things worked out so that people can just really be blown away by the beta experience.
Yeah, and you know, I think the beta is partly for that. I think it is to tie up the loose ends with performance and bugs, and just making sure that the servers can hold the amount of stress that they're supposed to.
And it is a beta. It is a beta, but we all know, Red, what happens on the internet whenever this beta goes live, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think I don't think people necessarily grant you that room. You know what I mean? We all know what betas are supposed to be, but people overreact all the time. Per example of the cash shop stuff, we've all dealt with that. So the thing is here's the thing, IGN, I don't know about, it's just like they intentionally picked footage that bad performance, and then they have David who it almost didn't know that he was being filmed. It looks like at times. It's like it's just weird that the approach of that. I think the entire feel of the video was just what made it a less lackluster, is the way it was put together, the narrative that the guy was putting out, which was basically I don't really have an opinion on any of this stuff. I thought it would be, I guess it's a first, a hands-on preview versus a review, but it just was an interesting setup for that as a whole. But we'll see, guys. I really think that, like you guys said, it is important for them to have performance locked down, because we know a lot of MMOs that launch, especially the ones that are original, that they have performance issues on launch day, and that can prevent people from getting hyped about the game, or sometimes even potentially prevent people from playing the game at all. Servers sometimes get shut down entirely as they work on things. So hopefully, I mean, with Amazon Webs, AWS, you would think that potentially we won't have any launch day problems, or at least minimal launch day problems. But I think that, beta, they're going to try to work some of that stuff out then.
Yeah, I would sure hope so, man. I would sure hope so. One last thought about that video, man, is that I think that the risk you run whenever you go through a big company like IGN to kind of promote those features is that they probably the guy that was playing probably has zero vested interest in New World whatsoever, right? So he's probably
a mobile game specialist, like most of
the he probably doesn't know anything about New World. He's probably just read a couple of articles, maybe watched a video or two, but he probably hasn't had little to no hands-on experience with the game. And so then they just give him this game mode of Outpost Rush, and here you go, let's see your thoughts. And so then he just puts together this video that is kind of almost lackluster. Well, it was lackluster, man. I'll just say it. No knock to IGN. I'm just saying that there's no passion behind his thought process when putting that video together. He's just trying to push out the content for IGN's sake. And so that's not really sometimes can be a double-edged sword, right? You get a lot of eyes on your content, but then you have this guy over here who doesn't have any vested interest in the game. And so they're just not really hyping it up, or not really giving constructive feedback. They're just kind of well, this is what it is. And they just do it for the sake of content for IGN. And so that's kind of the risk you run, is that whenever you go to these big places like IGN for your content, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's interesting too, because maybe that is the point of the video, is to not be overhyping it and just
maybe so.
Maybe trying to put a neutral ground out there, but I don't know. It just
maybe
overall was a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, anything else to touch up on the Outpost Rush conversation?
No.
I'm good, man. I think we covered it. Unless Danneh has something. Got some
a bit of positivity in there, a bit of negativity, bit of constructive feedback there. Yeah, no, I think we covered everything.
Fun.
Yeah,
but I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, here's the thing to sum up, because we're all three of us are PvP eccentric people. It's just awesome that they basically. Maybe we should have opened with this, so then people don't think we're being a bunch of negative Nancy's. But overall, the idea of them continuing to pay attention to the PvP community and add features for people that enjoy PvP, I think is very encouraging. Hopefully, they can continue to perfect on these and work on again, some sort of smaller based arena thing. I think man, we'd be in PvP heaven at that point, having all these different features and activities to do.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. Well, this is the last segment of the show. Our company of the week, Bordy.
Insatiable is the name, man. Insatiable. Yeah. Yo, this is a region EU faction syndicate. Their language is English, focus PvX, size 26 to 50. They are currently recruiting. So, yo, Danneh, this may be an ally guild for you here, man. You know, they are a company based in the United Kingdom. If you want to be straightforward, awesome, and roll in either PvP or PvE or a mixture of both, then this guild is for you. We need everyone from any play style. Shall it be crafters, gatherers, tanks, healers, DPS, or gankers? Yo, let's go, dude. So they're wanting good-hearted people, man. They're wanting some people that have a sense of humor, some people that are willing to just enjoy the game and have fun. It looks like they want some easygoing people. And then it says here at the bottom, I got a kick out of this one, an ability to tolerate really awesome dad jokes. That's what I'm talking about, dude. I like this company already.
Maybe you should think about joining that, dude. That'd be a good home
maybe
for you.
So. Maybe, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. So it says they plan on doing like dueling competitions with prizes, which is going to be fun. Red, I think we're going to do some stuff like that too. And it looks like it's going to be a good place to be a part of, man. So it's called Insatiable. They're an EU company. If you're interested in joining them, we will link all of their information in the description below, everywhere this podcast can be found.
They got a pretty cool logo as well. It's interesting to see the effort that people have been putting into their companies. Hopefully, you know, they mentioned some features with, you know, company support and having unique icons and stuff. Hopefully they can find a way to get some of these custom designs in the game. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
for
that
sure.
would be awesome.
All right, Danneh, dude, it's been a pleasure, man. We're grateful to have you on. Dude, one more time for everybody. Why don't you tell them where they can find you?
The main place you can find me, guys, is youtube.com/Danneh, Danneh.
Nice. It was awesome, man. Thank you for coming on, Danneh. We appreciate it.
I'll help Danneh out here. Danneh runs a company. He runs a company. Yo, he runs a company. If you're on the EU side, I've taken our guy in Studio Loot is joining his company for the time being. I think he's going to have a ton of fun with you, Danneh. And then he's the host of New World Wednesdays over there on Twitch. TV.
Low key, I'm glad you're getting taken, man. We don't want him in our company.
No, we'll take it. He's a nice guy.
He's gonna pretend it's because it's NA ping and stuff like that, but really, we told him no. Yeah. Well, no, dude,
boys, thank you so much for having me, guys. Like I mentioned before, like big fan of what you guys are doing, and I know the effort you're putting into this. So being here and chatting to you guys, it's been awesome. So yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, again, it's been our pleasure, man. We love meeting people within the community, dude, and New World Wednesdays is definitely like one of those linchpins, I think, right now in the New World community. People that everybody looks forward to it, on Wednesday, and you're doing a great job over there, dude. Your energy is next level, brother.
That's awesome, man.
So, it's great to have you, man. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching every week. It's crazy. We're getting ready. This is our second to last show before beta actually launches, which is pretty crazy. We have less than 10 days now. So we're grateful to be part of this community. We hope you guys are excited, and we will see you on another episode of New World to Go.